All right, we're going to be talking about squatting. Proper form for a squat. This one would seem so obvious, but it isn't, because there really isn't a one-size-fits-all for squat. So I'm going to give you all the basic rules, but what will change based on you and your individual and unique biomechanics is how wide or narrow your feet are going to be, the depth of your squat, and arguably where you're carrying the weight you're squatting, okay? So first, let's talk about basic squat form. We're not even going to use any weight, all right? So your feet should be just outside of your hips. You want your toes slightly open, okay? And chest up, butt tucked. Squeeze your butt, very first thing. The reason for this is because when we keep our butt lax, look how I just shifted my hips. Your hips have to be totally square. And this is because if you have an imbalance, so for example, I'm really tight on one side. A lot of people think they have one leg longer than another. You don't. You're just really tight on one side, so your pelvis gets rotated, right? And it can cause a host of issues from, oh my God, IT band syndrome to a valgus knee when you squat, which means basically the knee is dipping in. So a lot of the reason people go, oh, I have knee pain, without any kind of previous injury is because their form is bad and they have these biomechanical imbalances they don't even understand that are then creating issues. So, right, number one, feet should be outside the hips, toes very slightly turned out, hips, boom, square. Squeeze your butt. That'll automatically square those hips. Butt is underneath you. Then from here, depending on where you're carrying the weight, let's say it's a back squat, you simply sit down, come up. Notice I'm bringing my chest and my lower body up at the same time. A lot of people do this. They go down, and then they come up, up. And that's a deadlift squat. Really not a thing. So, I mean, I've named it deadlift squat, but it's not a thing, and it's really bad for your lower back. So you want to make sure that your upper body and lower body are rising at the same exact time. So now we know where the feet should be, right? Butt is tucked, hips are square. If you're holding weight here, elbows are going to be back. Gaze is forward, chest is up. Squatting down, coming up. Now, let's take a look at my back. Range of motion, depth. Why does this matter? Well, here's the deal. You're limited on your range of motion due to your mobility, mostly your ankle mobility. Mine sucks. So watch what happens when I go below parallel. How many of you feel like you're going to fall over when you have weight on your back? I know I do, right? So let's say I don't even have weight on my back, right? I'm going to go here, butt tight, sitting down, down, down. Look how straight my back is. Now watch my hips as I go lower. See how my pelvis dips under? That's extremely bad. That's called a butt wink. We do not want that. Why is that happening to me? Because I don't have the mobility in my hips or my ankles. So for me, I've got one of two options. I actually have one of three. I can widen my stance, which will help a lot. It's not ideal, but it will help a lot, and you only go a few inches, so it's not that big of a deal. That's number one. Number two, you can put, hold please, I'm going to grab a couple of plates. Should have had these ready for you. Number two, we can put little plates underneath your ankles, okay? So I'm widening my stance. I've got plates under my ankles. Hips are square. Supposedly the weight's on my back. Now why, by the way, would you have the weight on your back versus a front load? Because for guys that are squatting 150, 200 pounds, can't carry that in front of the body, right? So they got to put it on their back. I don't squat that much. So my other trick is I like a front load. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But right now, let's say I'm doing a back squat right here. Feet are a little wider, butt's tight. Watch how deep I can get into this without the butt wink. Pretty good, right? Way better. If I get a little deeper, it starts to go. But look at that. That is way deeper than the one I did, more narrow, without the plates. So if you want to go a little deeper, cheat it out with some plates under your heels and widen your stance a bit. Let's watch that with some weight, okay? So what happens is when your mobility is limited, I'm going to show you me with really crappy form, possibly falling over. So here I am, a more narrow stance, no plates under my heels. Squats, elbows tucked in, right? If you're carrying that weight on your back, keep your elbows in. Gaze forward, butt tight. Squat, 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 squat. Right here I lose it, and then here I feel like I'm gonna fall over. Ugh. And that's what happens. Not good. Okay, so one more time, team. If I don't fall over, guess what I'm gonna do? Because nobody wants to fall over, so you end up with that deadlift squat I just told you about. Then you end up doing this. Okay, so I stay narrow, got the weights in. Oh, all right, I'm going down. Butt tight, deep breath in. Okay, 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 okay. And then I feel like I'm gonna fall. That's why people lean forward and they come up, up. Bad. So, what do we have to worry about right now? Making sure you keep your spine straight, no butt wink. If you cannot get lower, even with the feet wider, even with the heel plates, you go until your spine is straight. The minute it starts to wink under here, you're done. That's your range of motion, period, end of story, okay? If the hips aren't square, watch what happens to my knee. And you're probably doing this and not even realizing it. I mean, I've even seen videos of myself 10 years ago and didn't even realize I was doing it. Because you don't understand unless you're looking in the mirror how tight you can actually be, right? So coming down, 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 one hip's tighter than another, and this creates knee pain. This one creates back pain. All right, now, what else do we need to talk about? Here's my other trick that I love. Not feasible. This one's not feasible if you're trying to squat heavy weight. I'm assuming most of you aren't, but I'll go up to about 40, 50 pounds. I front load the weight. So it allows me to sit deeper into that squat without leaning forward and feeling like I'm gonna fall backwards because I'm counterbalanced with the weight in front of me. A couple different ways we can do this one. You can keep it in front of you, but it will limit that range of motion. Butt is tight, shoulders are back. Okay, here we go. Deep breath in. Always breathe in as you lower on the squat to support your core. Exhale on the way up, okay? So go inhale down. No butt wink. Lower body, upper body coming same time. Exhale and follow through. Squeeze your butt. It doesn't end here. It ends as you follow through. Squeeze your butt. Tuck your tailbone. Other option is a goblet hold. Keeping it in front of you. Now I can get even deeper. I don't even need the plates on this one. Open my feet a little bit wider. Squeeze my butt, square my hips, turn my toes. Deep breath in. Look, 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 look. No wink, no wink. Bringing upper body, lower body, same time. Following through. So, quick recap. Make sure your hips are square. Are you going to screw up your knees? Make sure you're rising your upper body and your lower body at the same time, or you're going to screw up your back. Make sure that you don't get a butt wink from limited flexibility. Try to widen your feet to shoulder width apart. Put plates under your heels to help you cheat that ankle mobility. Consider front loading if you're not trying to squat super heavy weight. Your depth is limited by your range of motion. The minute you hit the butt wink, no matter how many of these different cheats you've employed, you're done. That is your limit on range of motion. Inhale on the way down to support your core. Exhale on the way up, and make sure you are following all the way through on your squat.